guys, it's Robin, RS Island Crafts, and welcome to my studio. This is my WiP It Wednesday video where I show you whatever I was working on in the past week. Thank you for everyone that hung out with me on the live stream on Saturday and for everyone that watched the replay. I really wasn't sure if I was going to continue with that live on Saturday or if I was going to cancel it or postpone it. I was feeling a little bit off balance, frazzled, not quite knowing which way to turn and what to do. But I'm so glad that I did go through with the live because you guys just hanging out with a group of people that kind of get it, that's crafters also, and we just all hang around and chat with each other. Did we talk about anything amazingly important? No, but we did what you do when you hang out with a group of friends and you have similar interests and you just kind of chat. So a huge thank you for everyone that hung out with me and for, again, for those of you that watched the replay, because I like chatting with you guys afterwards too. Because I couldn't decide on a project, I just pulled out some of my green scraps and I started sewing some crumb blocks. And I got to thinking afterwards, these are going to get used most likely in the tote bags, in the Franken tote bags. And I was thinking, well, what if I did the 15 minutes of play a day from Victoria Finley Wolf, and I take 15 minutes every morning before I get started and I sew on the crumbs a little bit. I'll have all of my smaller little bits of scraps that are for like zipper pouches and other little things like that that just need to be sewn together. They can't be used quite on their own. Then I would have these nice pieces of made fabric and these little panels and stuff, and I'd be ready to go whenever I need them in a project. But then I went to bed and I woke up the next day and I realized that's not going to work. If I add one more thing to my mornings, I'm not going to get started doing anything until my late afternoons, and I don't want to say, oh, 15 minutes of sewing is really fun. I'll take out the 15 minutes of exercise and we'll just go ahead and sew instead. Now, I know 15 minutes of exercise may not sound like a lot to you guys, but because of the issues with my neck, the exercise I do this walking exercise with the Yes to Necks ladies, and it really does make a big difference. It keeps my body nice and loose, it keeps the pain a little bit lower, and it keeps me moving every day instead of just sitting at the sewing machine or standing at the cutting table, which is really important. So I didn't want to do that. So I decided that I'm going to use these as leaders and enders. There's been many times where you're like, Robin, do leaders and enders. And I'm like, but I can't wrap my head around it. I can't think ahead of a project of what I'm going to do. But you know what? This works for me as leaders and enders. I've been thinking I need to do them lately because I use a little bits of scrap fabric to go through and hold the thread while I'm sewing different parts for the bags and stuff like that. You have to find what's going to work for you. This is what's going to work for me. At least I think it's going to work for me. I'm going to keep my bucket of crumbs nearby, so as I'm sewing them, I'm sewing on my tote bags and other projects, I can just take a couple of these because it doesn't matter. They can go together anyway. You know, however you want to put them, stick them together and just sew them through. And the same thing with these. Even if I only do the smaller ones now and I do the larger ones maybe at the end of the day before I quit for dinner time and to take care of the cats and stuff, then I can go ahead and do my 15 minutes at the end of the day, or use that time to get these all pressed and trimmed up. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a try, and I'm going to take a little bucket out of each color and just work on that for a few days or the week or whatever it takes me to sew it. I don't always sew every day, so maybe adding it to the end of the day before I close up the shop might be a good idea. Got a lot done on Saturday, actually. They don't look like very much because there's only like 3 pieces on each of them, but I either have like 25 starter blocks or I can put them all together and make a bunch of 6-inch blocks. Even if I only come out with 4 or 5 of them, I think I'm ahead of the game since most of my bags are generally 16 by 16 or 18 by 18. So that gives me a little bit of freedom to play with the 6-inch blocks. Or I can just do 4-inch blocks or 4.5-inch blocks, and then that way I can add borders around them and stuff like that. That might actually be a good idea too. But whatever I do, I can do a mixture because it's my scraps, and it's my party and I'll cry if I want to. It's my scraps and I'll sew if I want to. I know there's been a little bit of confusing for some people. I think maybe some of the newer people or even the people that have been here for a while about the live streams. I did start out doing the live streams as a tutorial, But it was a little bit harder for some people to follow the tutorial because I'd stop and answer questions and the live chat doesn't always come up right away for 24 to 48 hours. So if you watch the replay right away, you're not seeing the live chat, so you don't know all the time. So I try to read the question and then answer it, but if you get busy, you kind of forget about it. And other people are answering questions in the chats that I don't have to stop sewing. And I stop and say hi and bye, and oh, that's so wonderful, someone's having a baby or something like that, I got a new puppy, and it just really confuses people and irritates people. So then I thought, well, maybe we do a craft and chat, so that way I work on some type of project, and it's usually been something that we've done in the past so that you can see it live now versus in a tutorial, like the crumb blocks, and we've done the calculator paper and little things like that so that you can see it but not need the full tutorial because you already saw the tutorial. And we've also talked about the different things I want to do, like I want to make handmade paper, so we might do that on one. So just keep your mind open. That this is just a bunch of crafty people, crafty friends that are hanging out for an hour or two on a live stream from all over the world, different times of the day, and actually different days of the week, because if you're over by Australia or somewhere over in that area, you're on a wholly different day than what we are over here in the US. So that's kind of cool that we have people all around the world that are watching and hanging out with us and just being friends and chatting and talking. So enough about that. Just to give you an idea, sometimes you just might see me picking with fabrics, you might see me sewing them, you might see me pressing them, or you might just see me trimming them up for an hour. That I could just be trimming blocks for an entire hour, but it's really there for the camaraderie and for the companionship. So that's what I'm going to try to do next. I mentioned on the live stream that I finished my Mondo bag, but I didn't want to show it because the live stream was on Saturday and my Patreon video comes out Sunday mornings. Patreon is just another way to help support this channel, to support me, to support what I'm doing to ensure that I can keep making these videos. There's a couple little different rewards that show up in the tiers, but mostly what you're getting is an extra video every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. It's generally some type of a tutorial. Lately we did I think we took four weeks to do this. There was 4 parts, so it seems like 4 weeks is accurate, right? Right. Sorry, I'm still a little bit frazzled, but I'm doing much, much better. But we worked on the Mondo bag, and then the next one we're going to do, for those non-Patreon people, just if you're curious, I received this kit. I actually received 2 of them, and we're going to make these little purses that you use these metal frames. It's great to have 2 kits because then I can try it out first and make all the mistakes and then show how to get past any mistakes on the next one. Speaking of mistakes, I had 100% intention of putting this Mondo bag into the shop because it's huge. It's huge. It is 17.5 inches or so tall just from here down. And then the bottom is like 12 inches square. What I have inside here is I have an adult extra large worsted weight sweater, and you can see how much room there's still left. If you're one of my patrons, if you haven't seen the video yet, go ahead and watch the video or just fast forward to the end and you can see me where I'm holding this up against my body. I'm not a petite woman and I disappear behind this bag. Not my whole body, but widthwise. So because of a couple of issues that I had, and the biggest issue being that this bag is sewn on a diagonal like this. So you have, can you see how this panel is right here? So there's 4 panels that go around like that. When I put my lining in, the directions, and none of the videos said to be careful. I guess it might be just something the way I did it. I had to trim my panels up a little bit, so maybe they weren't exactly the right size. But my bag is square this way, and my lining is different. So the bottom corner of my lining is right here in the middle. See, these are the corners of my bag and this is the corner of my lining. Is that a problem? Not at all. It is perfectly fine, but I wouldn't want to charge money for that. And I had a couple of little wrinkles in my corners. Things like this you learn on your first one when you practice, so you don't do it in your most favoriteest things. But I kind of thought that, I was thinking that since it had all of this fusible interfacing that it would be so much easier. It'd be hard, that it would be complicated to sew together because the directions weren't very good, but it would be easy to actually make. Well, it was super easy to make. There was just a few things that I would rather do differently, and I talk about that over on the Patreon video. But my Mondo bag is done. I am going to be keeping this for myself. As you can see, I'm just going to put my sweater in it, and it is nice and large that I can just fold it down like this. And I can store it up on the shelf in my living room. I have a desk that has just a regular desk, and then it has a shelf, and at the top, whatever, the little hutch on top of it, so you have that top shelf, and that's where I store all of my projects that I'm working on, my knitting stuff. So now this can sit up there, and there could be no problems with getting any dust on it. And you all know that I love this fabric so much, especially the butterflies and stuff. So that's all done. Mondo bag is finished. There's the bottom. I am very, very pleased with it. Little oopsie mistakes and all, not a problem. I finished the black and white music bag. Check it out. I decided to put this checkered for the handles. I didn't even bother to try to line, I tried a little bit, I should say, to line up the checkers, but not perfectly, knowing that the whole 1/4 inch and stuff. But each handle has this little bit on it right there, and I really kind of like the way it lined up and left that little bit of a mark on it. So there is side 1 and side 2. I did keep the kitchen up at the top, and on this side I decided that I liked the boldness of this gold to go on the top versus down on the side panel, so I left that up at the top. It's a little shadowy, I know it's kind of hard to see. I'll show it to you when it's laying flat in a minute. I just think it might be easier to see the linings this way. I decided to stop putting in the key leash unless someone requests a bag and they ask for it. So we've got this gray on this side, and I went with the feathers on this side. Stuck with a gray zipper, and I went with a bright yellow on the inside. Now this time I did test it out. I was looking for how to turn a bag through the zipper pocket, looking for videos and blog posts and stuff. And I did find a couple, but of course I didn't like the way they were doing it, so I had to make it up on my own. I'm going to do it one more time, and then I will do a tutorial on how to install the zipper inside of in an inside pocket. Calm words, deep breath. Then I will do a tutorial on how to make a zippered pocket for the inside of your bag. You could also put it on the outside, but the way I make mine, I don't know. I mean, I would just have to put it in the quilting somewhere. Right now, I'm just going to stick with putting them on the inside. I think I might want to put a slip pocket on the outside. We'll see. Anyway, for now, we're going to stick with the zippered pocket. I almost have that to the point where I feel comfortable. I am trying a new, I decided to try this new Steam-A-Seam 2 to use for the double-sided tape to hold the zipper in. I think I'm pretty happy with it. There are some times, like, can you see the yellow there? That just happens sometimes when you do the pockets. I don't mind that little peak of yellow there. I think that's okay. It's like a little bit of a, hey, look what's coming on. If you want to avoid having that at all, it's either in the process of how you stitch it down, how you fold it and stuff, or just use a pocket that has the same fabric and you won't ever have that problem. I stuck with putting the lining so it's sewn to the bottom so that it doesn't pop out. I really do like the idea of pulling it through the pocket, because now I don't have that ridge in the bottom of the bag where it kind of sticks up and looks rough. And also, when you put it in the side of a bag, I tried that in another tote bag too, but then you have this that just kind of sticks up on the side of the bag. So I wasn't happy with that either. Not that it's bad, it's perfectly fine. I think I would like it in the bottom better than on the side. I don't think it's as noticeable in the bottom. Plus, when you start putting your things in, if you did it further down on the side, it wouldn't be too bad. But this way, everything fits in there nicely. I turned it through the pocket. So you do end up with that little ridge in the bottom of your pocket, but that's no big deal. That's inside a zippered pocket, and you're definitely going to be putting things in there, and you're not going to be looking inside. Probably if I hadn't shown you, you might not even have known that that seam was there, except that we've discussed in the past about turning a bag through the inside pocket like that and how kind of cool it is. I almost did gray handles, but I really thought it would be kind of fun just to have the checkered to go with the black and white everywhere else. Front. There's the bottom. Sometimes I think the bottom and the sides are just as intriguing as anything else, because the bottom is really the panels that you already saw. I haven't gone through and defuzzed it yet. By the time you see this video, it's all going to be thread free, and it'll be in the shop if you're interested in purchasing it. So yes, this music panel is a little bit sideways, and this one's probably upside down, but I felt that it was more important to have this one going that way. Plus, it's a log cabin, and I think in the quirkiness of it, that it's okay to have things, you already have things going on the side anyway, that it works out really well. So I finished that probably later on Sunday afternoon, and I'm like, okay, I got a little bit of time left, not enough to dig into a new project, and I didn't want to sew any more green squares, so what was I going to do? I thought I could go ahead and start prepping for some simple totes. I already had the fabric already made and quilted and everything for this 30s. Remember we were discussing whether or not to make it into a project bag or into a pillow? Well, it's going to become a tote bag. And then I thought, well, Halloween's coming, so I want to make some simple-ish quilted Halloween bags, not the ones where you just have the outer lining and the back, the inner lining, so it's just two pieces of fabric for trick-or-treating. I wanted to make some quilted ones, so if you guys want to take them out when you're going to the farmer's market, or you're going out fabric shopping, or to use it as a tote bag / purse during the Halloween and the fall season, that you could do that, or it can be used as a trick-or-treat bag, either way. Especially if you go to one of those neighborhoods or the churches where you really need a nice sturdy bag because the kids get a lot of candy. So I went into my Halloween panel type fabric, and I pulled out a couple that I could just do some free motion quilting on and not do the million straight lines. Maybe just do some wavy lines on it or something. I probably won't free motion. I'll probably just do the little wavy lines or just stitch across where those sections are, so it'll be lightly quilted and it won't be quilted to death like my tote bags usually are. I do have plans for a special Halloween bag that I'm hoping to get to soon. I made one a couple years ago. It's no longer in the shop, so I can't really show you, and I don't even know if I have pictures of it anymore, but you'll see it when I make the new ones. Then I had this one. Nice simple Halloween. Whenever I could, I cut out the handles, so I had the handles left over from that fabric, handles from this fabric. It actually worked out really well too, because the fabric was cut off the side, so the handles will be this way instead of being weird and sideways, so that worked out nice. This one and the next one, I don't have the handles cut out. I'm going to have to cut them from scrap fabric, probably some solids. I thought this one might need some red handles, possibly green handles. So I guess it's a nice little town scene. Kind of reminds me of the Smurf Village, but this is Halloween. Give you a little bit of a close-up of it. Lots of fun rainbow colors. It's like Skittles candy, catch the rainbow. So I thought that was really fun. Each house has something different coming out of it. So there's stars, there's bubbles. This one has letters, even though some of them are backwards, moons and such. There's your not so scary, oh, it's a spider, but he's got vampire teeth, just like all the pumpkins in the center. So I have two panels of that. So that was a really fun bag. And this really fun witches fabric with the clouds, so it's nice and purple. The witches all have like an orange shadow to them. See that? Two panels exactly the same. Well, the panels for the bag, but the fabric is entirely the same. Some of them have their black cats on it. There's bats in the moons and stuff like that. So depending on the fabric that I have available, it'll either get purple handles or black. I'm leaning towards purple. I guess maybe not that purple. So I'll have to see what purples I have and see what works. I could do orange handles though. That would pull out the orange and the moons. So this is what I'm going to get started on this week. This one I definitely want to finish, and I'll see where I go. I probably won't make one bag start to finish. I'll probably quilt all of these up, then I'll cut all the linings, then I'll sew them all together. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. What do you think? Should I put a zipper pocket? Maybe I'll put a slip pocket inside, the inside for these. I guess it all depends on who's purchasing them and for what purpose. So I think even as a trick-or-treat bag or just as a carry-all to go places during the Halloween season, I think a slip pocket might work. It, again, depends on the fabric that I choose for the insides and the linings also. Hopefully I will put some more Halloween stuff so it'll be super Halloween-y. Pull out my 30s fabric for that. That will get a zipper pocket, no problem. So has anyone else started on their fall or Halloween type projects or Thanksgiving? I know a couple of you had started a little bit on Christmas. It might be a little early for some of the rest of you. It's always Halloween time at my house. I have ceramic haunted houses that are in my living room, some in my curio cabinet, some up on a shelf because it's a really big guy. Maybe I'll take him down. He's a little dusty. He probably needs to get a little bit of a cleaning. Where you can put the candle into the back of them so they all light up. I picked up one really nice one year at a thrift store, at a flea market, and I'm just so thrilled to have it there. It's actually holding the antenna for my TV. But I always have these pumpkins staring at me. I purchased these beads and I just haven't done anything with them. Probably purchased them around Halloween time last year, if not the year before. I just love the fun beads like this. So they just hang up on my little rod where I keep all my pens, so the pumpkins are always looking at me. I didn't really do much decorating last year. I just kind of hard to decorate just for one person. My house isn't really set up to, I don't have like shelves on the wall. I don't have walls that you can put shelves on. One entire wall in my living room is a mirror, top to bottom, ceiling to floor. There's just a whole entire wall is a mirror, and that's where the furniture is in. And then the other wall's got the bookcases and the TV and the desk and stuff. So there's only so many places to put things up. I have a couple little things that I leave in front of my TV on the TV stand that I keep up year round, which some of them is Halloween. I believe I have a pumpkin up there right now. I do have a spider quilt in my craft room too that I'm looking at. Probably time for me to change up some of the quilts in here, but I just kind of like them. We'll see what happens, but that's all I've got for you this week. I am really kind of wandering off and rambling now. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Let me know in the comments what you're working on this week, and I'll see you guys next time. But wait, I didn't forget the code word. The code word for this week is calm. After the way I've been feeling for the past few days, I think calm is a nice word to be thinking about this week. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you next time. Bye.